You're watching the Alabama Weather Network.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Joe McCombs, and this is your weather briefing for Sunday, October the 26th. And what we're watching, rain and storms return for today. It looks like a fairly widespread rain event. Some thunderstorms possible, especially in the southern part of the state. Could see a couple of strong, maybe severe thunderstorms. We'll talk more about that. But cooler air for midweek and into the later part of this coming week. It's going to get as cold as it's been so far this fall season, and so that'll mean dry and crisp trick-or-treating weather for sure is what we're expecting as we get into on Halloween there. So taking a look at our sky cams here, we'll start off at the beach because that's where we're going to have some of the more active weather today with the chance for some thunderstorms, some severe weather. You can see the surf is up. We've got high surf advisories and rip current statements in effect for the whole Alabama Gulf Coast. And so this is not a day that you want to be out at the beach and be out in the water for sure. You can see how rough that the surf is looking there at Orange Beach at Perdido Pass. And as we continue to move along here, we'll see at Gulf Shores, you'll see a similar story there as well. So you can see really heavy surf there at Gulf Shores. And those clouds overhead, so expect it to be a cloudy, rainy, stormy kind of day across pretty much the entire state, but especially the beaches here. You can see the clouds moving overhead there, looking out into the Gulf at Dolphin Island at 76 degrees there. And you see the dew points at 70. So as far as our air mass is concerned, you'll see a difference as we move further to the north, that we've got a good bit of moisture and higher humidity there right at the coast. But as you move further north, you don't have nearly as much, and that's why we don't expect as much in the way of storms to the north. Look at the winds, though. Southeast 21 miles per hour, gust up to 38 miles per hour. It is gusty out there today across a good portion of the state, but especially down towards the coast. And at Fairhope, looking across the bay, 70 degrees there, and not as breezy right there as it maybe is there right along the beach, as you can see there. Now, looking at Dozier as we move to the north, we're not too much further to the north, but you can see the dew point's at 59 degrees. So as we get inland, the air mass is not as unstable or doesn't have as much moisture, will not be as unstable. And so we expect, the further north you go, you're not going to have as much chance of seeing thunderstorms in general. It'll just be mainly rain. So we'll see that as we continue to move towards the north across the state. Up to Alabaster, dew points at 47 in Alabaster there in central Alabama. So again, further we move north, drier air mass, we're going to get rain, but not really expecting thunderstorms in that part of the state. You see it's 59 degrees, still fairly cool morning there. In Hoover, it's 60 degrees, dew point at 44. You can see the sun starting to rise there, looking nice. So you can see the gusts, though. Wind still gusting to 25 miles per hour there. Wind still gusting in Coleman at 22 miles per hour. And by the way, this is one of our newest sky cams that we have got online here in the last week or so. You can see dew point's 40 degrees there. And so really, again, the winds are pretty heavy across the state ahead of the system here. So it was kind of breezy yesterday, continued to be the story for today as well. And as we move up to Florence again, dew point still in the 40s. We got cloud cover across the state for sure. But that's definitely part of the deal there. So looking at our current alerts, so you've got a tornado watch in southern Mississippi. That's what you're seeing there in the red. I'll go ahead and click on it here so you can see it. So got a tornado watch that expires at noon today. We'll see. Haven't seen discussion yet of extending any sort of watches into Alabama, but I'm sure there's a decent chance we'll see some of those later on this morning and into the afternoon. Got a few special weather statements in those white polygons there. There were some tornado warnings earlier back in Louisiana. Don't have any of those currently active now. Got a few flood watch and a few flash flood warnings there back in Mississippi. The main things that are in effect currently in Alabama would be we've got rip current statements there in the blue across the entire Alabama Gulf Coast and over into the panhandle of Florida as well. And then also we've got, and I don't think you can see it on here, we have high surf advisories as well. I don't know if I can get that to pull up here, but you also have a small craft advisory for the coastal waters because of the heavy swells that will be out there with the gusty wind conditions that we're seeing here. Looking at the radar here, so again, widespread rain and thunderstorms over Mississippi, and that extends down into Louisiana. We're seeing where there's been a lot of thunderstorm activity this morning. Like I mentioned, a few tornado warnings earlier, a confirmed tornado or two there where you had some debris signatures. Rain extends up into western Tennessee, up into Arkansas, and up to Missouri, maybe southern Indiana, western Kentucky there. And, of course, the showers are already starting starting to make it into Alabama. But you see as we lapse the data here that because the air mass is so dry in most of the state that it is starting to kind of, some of the rain sort of tapers off as it continues to move to the east. That trend will will not happen the entire day. Eventually the atmosphere will moisten up enough that you'll see rain, steady rain over the course of the state. But again, we definitely do have some drier air in place here than in some place further to the west. Looking at your satellite and radar, again, you got cloud cover over pretty much the entire state, and then you can see again that trend of where the rain's kind of lightening as it gets into Alabama for now, but we expect that there will be pretty good rain moving in across pretty much the whole state eventually. But again, you can see the storminess is confined mainly where you see all those reds and the reflectivity is confined further to the south in Mississippi, and we expect that trend to continue here in Alabama as well. As far as temperatures are concerned this morning, we've got some 50s up in the northeast, but obviously we're starting off warmer than we have several days ago when we were down in the 40s for lows across most of the state. So you can see a lot of the state now is just into the 60s, so it's 64 in Selma, 67 in Monroeville. Look at Gulf Shores at 77, so right there, kind of right along the coast, you've got the most moisture, and so it's not nearly as cool in some of those spots. And you can see that looking at the dew points as well. Look at the dew point at 70 degrees at Gulf Shores, but then not too far inland in Mobile. Obviously, still right there on the bay, but it's 63 degrees in Mobile. So that's a pretty big difference in dew points just in that fairly small distance there. And then as you go to further to the north, you see pretty quickly you're down in the 50s and the 40s as you move further to the north. So that's, again, a lot of the reason we expect the biggest chances of any sort of thunderstorm activity, and maybe strong, possibly severe storms, to be especially Mobile and Baldwin counties this morning and afternoon, but that will spread some into other parts of southern Alabama as well, mainly south of US 80 primarily. Wind gusts, again, it's gusty out there right now. You can see we've got gusts up to almost 25 miles per hour in Gulf Shores, showing almost 30 miles per hour in both Chatham and Monroeville. And so, again, 25, 30 mile per hour gusts are certainly possible in a good portion of the state today, and we expect that to continue as this system moves through a very dynamic system here. And looking at our future cast as it moves through time here, and I'm not really sure why that didn't stop. Let me play that back for you here so you can actually see that a little bit slower. So yeah, as we move through this morning, so we got showers again that'll continue to move in the state, but it may be a little bit later in the morning before things really start to moisten up enough where we see some of that heavier action. So by the time we get to a little bit before noon, right around lunchtime, that's when we could start to see some of the heavier thunderstorms moving into parts of Mobile, Baldwin counties, and also parts of Washington and Clark and Choctaw, places like that, Monroe County, Escambia. And then the heavier rain continues to spread up further to the north, up into parts of Tuscaloosa County and Pickens County, Greene County, Hale County. So a lot of those places in west central Alabama, which need a lot of rain, at least this model showing decent amount of rainfall trying to fall there as we get into the afternoon. And then as we get into 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, showers spreading up into the central part of the state, up in the Birmingham area, the Huntsville area, northeast Alabama. You can see obviously lighter up in that direction. Most of the thunderstorms staying to the south, as we've mentioned. We'll continue to move this through and get some possibility of some training rainfall in southern Alabama that could create some flash flooding issues. So that'll be something we'll be watching as well. We need the rain for sure, but there could be a little bit more than you need it in a short period of time in some of these areas if the training happens like this. And you can see that we're getting late into Sunday night or into tonight, and we still have some rain and some thunderstorm activity moving through the state. So it's a fairly long duration event once it gets going here. And then as we get overnight, we still have some lingering rain in the eastern part of the state, northeastern part of the state, southeastern part of the state. And even lingering into Monday morning, still could have some lingering showers around, even into Monday afternoon as well. So then things start to taper off later on in the day on Monday, but maybe even still a few lingering showers. And we'll continue to have some lingering showers through the first several days of this coming week is what the plan is at this point. And so that's what we're expecting. Now, looking at our forecast instability. So again, talking about the thunderstorm possibilities. So this is looking at this afternoon. And so you can see that we've got, wherever you see the kind of the greens there, especially, that's where you got some decent instability kind of confined right along to the coast. And then the other thing that you can see here, looking at what we're showing in this forecast product for our forecast model, is there's some little grayish blue streaks that are showing there. And those are kind of a forecast of potential strong thunderstorms. Don't get caught up on exactly where those are located. That's not going to be exactly where there might be strong storms, but it's just it gives you a general idea that there could be a few strong storms, possibly severe storms here and there. And the threats with the storms in this part of the state, in this kind of far southern part of the state, would be mostly going to be gusty, potentially damaging winds, straight line winds. There could be a spin up tornado or two. There's certainly a possibility of having that in a few spots. So we'll be watching that as well. So we may have a tornado warning or two over the course of the day today. Again, mainly beginning later in the morning and into the afternoon and evening probably would be our main time frame for that. But don't expect widespread issues with that. And as we get into Monday morning or late tonight into Monday morning, still some instability around. But again, we expect the rain to potentially continue through that time frame. But the strong storms, we don't see as much issues with that as we get to that point. Now, looking at our wind gusts, again, here's a quick look at the forecast wind gusts. And you can see throughout the course of the day today, we maybe have a few lulls here and there, but generally still having possible 20, 25, 30 mile per hour wind gusts over a good portion of the day today as the weather moves through here. So again, we continue to see that as a major story with the rain coming today, is just that it'll be very windy along with it as well. Looking out a little bit further here at the model as we get into Tuesday. Again, Tuesday we might dry out a little bit. Still going to have a good bit of cloud cover. Probably not as much rain on Tuesday as we see. Obviously, definitely not as much as we're seeing today, but not as much as Monday. And probably not as much as Wednesday. Now, late Tuesday night, the next front comes in. This is going to be a strong cold front that's going to bring the coldest air of the season behind it. There won't be a lot of instability. There won't be a lot of moisture return ahead of it or instability, but still could get some decent rainfall in some spots as we get into late Tuesday night into Wednesday. And so you can see the front starting to move here early Wednesday morning, especially North Alabama, maybe getting some decent rain totals out of this. South Alabama doesn't look like as much. It looks like just some scattered showers moving through for South Alabama for this next front coming through. And then behind that, again, there still could be a few smattering of showers as we get into Wednesday night, but we'll start to see that drying trend as we get into later on into Thursday and into Friday especially. Then we'll dry things out and get very cool. Now, looking at, again, at just the whole country here, our current alerts, again, we've talked about we're pretty active to our west, and we'll be active especially in our southern part of our state today. Outside of that, you've got some dense fog advisories in Texas. You've got wind advisories in the northern plains. You've got frost advisories in some places parts of Ohio and Pennsylvania. You've got some winter storm issues up in the Pacific Northwest and up in the Intermountain West. Winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings. So again, we're getting into that time of year where the winter weather is starting to kick up in the northwestern and northern parts of the country. Winter is coming, as they say. And so looking at our satellite and radar here, again, you can see that low pressure that's moving kind of along with this rain here, and that low pressure will move kind of in through the southern part of the state here, along with this upper trough as it's digging in here. And then you'll see that front up in the northwestern part of the country. That's going to be kind of the one that ends up coming through here to bring us, as we get into Wednesday, to bring us that colder air mass that we're expecting. Here's the severe weather outlook for today. So we're just in a level 1. Actually, it looks like they may have just updated that. Let's see here. Yeah, I think they just updated us here in the last few minutes. So originally we were looking at just a marginal risk, the level 1 out of 5 risk for today. I'll zoom in a little bit on this here. And now the SPC has just updated this recently so that there is now just a sliver of the far southern part of Mobile and Baldwin counties in the slight risk, the level 2 out of 5 risk for today. See, the rest of a good portion of southwestern Alabama is under the level 1 risk there. So you've got, again, kind of the southern part of Choctaw. You got most of Clark County, Washington County, good portion of Monroe County, Conecuh counties, Escambia County, and then Mobile and Baldwin. Looks like maybe a little bit of Covington there as well, included in the level 1 risk. But then there you've got that slight risk there in the far southern part of the state along the coast. So again, that's really where we expect confined along that very southern area of both Mobile and Baldwin counties. That's your best chance of getting some severe weather for today. And again, damaging winds are possible. We could have a few tornadoes. So we will certainly continue to watch this over the course of the entire day today. Bill Murray will be around as well to help with that as needed. And looking at severe weather outlook for tomorrow, though, thankfully, it looks like there is nothing on that for now. But however, there is excessive rainfall potential for today. So you can see a good portion of the southwestern part of the state in the yellow slight risk for excessive rainfall. The rest of the state in the marginal risk. So again, there's going to be some heavy rain in spots. We certainly need it. We don't want to get too much and have flooding issues, but there could be some few places where we get some flash flood warnings. I think that's certainly possible. If we get some training going on, that could certainly happen. All right, let's take a quick look at the tropics. We've got a major Hurricane Melissa, Category 4 storm here, very dangerous. Not a good situation for Jamaica, Cuba, parts of Hispaniola with this, which is going to be wind. It's going to be a huge impact. Rain is going to be a huge impact with this. You can see it's a very strong hurricane with a very well-defined eye there. And it's again, Category 4 as of the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center. You've got a hurricane warning for Jamaica. You've got hurricane watches for Haiti and eastern Cuba. 140 mile per hour sustained winds. And it's moving to the west. And as far as the forecast is concerned here, forecast by the NHC to be a Cat 5 hurricane as we get into early next week before it likely will make landfall in Jamaica as a Cat 4 hurricane as we get into Tuesday of next week, and then making another landfall in eastern Cuba most likely as we get into Tuesday and into Wednesday. So again, this is a very bad situation for a number of the places in the Caribbean, Jamaica being kind of probably the hardest hit area, along with parts of eastern Cuba and also parts of Haiti and just southern Hispaniola, Dominican Republic could get a lot of rain from this as well. This is the forecast tracks. Everything's in pretty good agreement now about what's going to happen with this. It's everything's kind of zeroed in on this continued sort of westward push towards Jamaica, and then pretty quickly moving to the northeast as this upper level trough that's coming into our area picks up the hurricane and moves it out to sea at that point. Here's a look at our, this is one of our newer products that we've just started showing here in the last week or so. This is the Extreme Weather Index from our friends at Barron, and they developed this in Huntsville, Alabama. And this is showing major and potentially extreme, but at least major impacts from the rainfall over the next number of days with Melissa. And so again, there's expected to be 15, 20, 30 inches of rain in spots with this over the course of the next several days, which is will most certainly cause catastrophic rainfall and mudslides and flash flooding and just lots of bad impacts with that. So again, it's not going to be good for especially Jamaica here. Now, looking at the rest of the tropics, things are looking fairly quiet. Outside of Melissa, we're quiet. We don't have any development chances over the next 7 to 10 days, which is good. And then again, looking at our overall pattern here, you can see looking at the 500 millibar heights, we get this big trough, this big upper level low move in as we get into Wednesday. You can see there Melissa, they're near into the Bahamas at this point, starting to get picked up by this trough. And as you continue to move it in, then you get a kind of reinforcing upper level trough. And then that's where we really kind of get that cold air in place here. So see all the blue there over us as we're getting a cold air mass in place for late this weekend into the weekend. And then the moisture, we got a good bit of moisture in the southern part of the state with this system moving through today. And then you can see it kind of, the main moisture moves out as we get into Tuesday, but still some lingering showers and with that next front. But you can definitely tell that the next front does not have as much moisture to work with. And that's why we don't expect as much in the way of any sort of storms or anything like that. Could get a few rumbles of thunder on Wednesday, but not expecting a big deal with that. And then that blue there is very dry air and very, very cold air coming in there behind all of that. Looking at the forecast from the GFS here again, there you see that low pressure moving through with the rain for today. A few lingering showers after that as we get into Tuesday. Then we got that next system coming in, bringing in those showers, and then taking a little bit before it exits out, before we dry out. It may even still be Thursday that some showers are lingering, and then really should start to dry out by Friday for Halloween. Expect a dry chilly Halloween. So it'll be kind of, what you might expect for Halloween trick-or-treating. That's the kind of rainfall, the kind of weather that we're expecting, not rainfall, for Halloween. Looking real quick at our percent of normal rain over the last 30 days. So again, it's been very dry across most of the state for the last 30 days. But thankfully, again, with this rainfall outlook for what's happening today and then through the middle part of the week, could see some areas getting upwards of 2 to 3 inches of rain. Pretty widespread, at least expecting an inch across pretty much the entire state, more or less. The southeastern corner may not get quite as much, but again, pretty beneficial rain coming here for the next number of days. And looking at your 7-day forecast, so today's the main day for the rainfall, but continuing that into Monday with this system, and then a little bit of a break on Tuesday, and then a little bit more on Wednesday again, and this is for North Alabama. A few lingering showers on Thursday, but you can see that temperature trend going down. Highs may only get into the 50s on Wednesday and Thursday, lows down in the 40s, upper 30s, and maybe a little bit lower than that Thursday night into Friday morning. And then again, we get into some fairly cool, crisp fall weather for sure as we get into the weekend. And then for South Alabama, a little bit warmer, but still kind of the same story here. Showers and thunderstorms, some potentially strong and severe today. Then as we move into Monday, still some lingering rain around, but then some continued lingering rain as we get into Tuesday, and then things start to dry out as you get into Wednesday and Thursday. Not as much rain with that system on Wednesday in South Alabama than you'll get in North Alabama. And then cooling things off quite a bit, and so looking pretty nice as we get into next weekend. Well, that is your weather briefing for now. We appreciate you watching us here on the Alabama Weather Network.